Yesterday we are discussing how to solve or disentangle these internal and external tangles in which people are involved in. Because of these entanglement, people cannot live freely. So who can disentangle this tangle? Who can solve this problem? That was the question. And the Buddha has given the answer that one who is called a bhikkhu or yogi with the 6 qualities will be able to solve this problem or disentangle this tangle, internal and external tangle. So the corollary to this is, if one does not possess quality, however much one may be called a bhikkhu or yogi, one will not be able to disentangle this tangle. So one who is called a bhikkhu or yogi should be fulfilled with the 6 qualities as discussed yesterday. Namely, the first, commitment to morality, sila. That is the first qualification. The second is to possess knowledge at the time of birth. Known as rebirth, linking consciousness should be accompanied with knowledge. That is the second quality. And the third is to develop one's mind so that it becomes stronger from a weak state. Fourthly, to cultivate the mind and insight and progress through the stages of knowledge. And fifthly, to practice with ardent energy. And sixth, to possess this prudence, nipaka panya, to understand what is beneficial and appropriate. Whatever one does for oneself or for others. And then to abstain, wisdom to abstain from what should be abstained. Abstaining from unwholesome, unskillful, physical, verbal misbehaviors. And to observe what is wholesome, physically and verbally. To observe what should be observed, to abstain what should be abstained. So these are the 6 qualities which a real bhikkhu and yogi should possess. Such person will be able to solve one's own problem, disentangle one's own tangle, and so that one is not defiled. Not defiled at the same time. It is one is not harming others, which is commendable. So this was explained yesterday. So there's problems in the world of the problem of entanglement internally and externally is very serious, and if one is not able to disentangle or solve this problem in time, then one is bound to land into undesirable consequences. Today we shall discuss this with reference to the text. A few days ago we discussed how when we leave our mind undeveloped, untrained, and leaving the mind as it is in its natural state, we these 2 unwholesome mental states, avidya and tanha, ignorance and craving, have been inherent with us like seeds all along our lifetimes. So whoever is overwhelmed with by these unskillful mental states, that will be avidya, not knowing the truth, knowing in the wrong way, will take the priority. Because one is ignorant, one craves, craving for pleasurable sights, sounds, taste, touch, and so on. So one has been addicted to this kind of habit with these two unskillful mental states all along. Like a boat, when the bow is broken, then no amount of steer or rudder can steer the boat to the required destination. That is our saying. So when one is overwhelmed or one indulges in these two unskillful mental states, avijja and tanha, then one is bound to be weak mentally. If one's mind is weak and small, one will not be able to repel the worldly conditions, good and bad worldly conditions. One will lack this power of repelling power. So one is bound to suffer, like the tender plants and fruits which cannot withstand adverse touch or adverse weather conditions. Because one is not matured as yet, one's mind has not reached maturity, one cannot withstand the adverse weather conditions. So too with the practice, with one's mind, if one has not cultivated enough knowledge, then one has not reached the stage of maturity. One has not ripened one's mind. So that when one encounters these worldly conditions, one will not be able to withstand the onslaught of these worldly conditions. So we lack in both these powers, repelling power and withstanding power, so that we easily get elated and dejected about agreeable, disagreeable objects. And we're glad and we easily become glad and sad about good and bad objects. Indulging in impurities, we get out of control, becoming mad, such as been given in the text as Umadagahi Puttujana. That means all ordinary beings are mad, because the Putthujanas, ordinary beings, are thick with impurities, defilements, so that they have to possess these two things, avijja and tanha, inherently, so that their mind is weak and immature, lacking repelling power, withstanding power, so that they become umadaka, mad, indulging in kilesas. So until and unless one becomes a noble person, one will always be a mad person. The only difference is a small madness, a big madness, or extreme madness, getting out of control. That is the only difference. To become madness, first of all, this mada, we take it as intoxicated with all sorts of things in many ways. One can be intoxicated, or one can be intoxicated with health, because one is health. One becomes very proud, so one may take pride to the extent of intoxication. Oh, I am healthy. Aroja mada. Or because one is good age compared with other people, elder people, then one will be proud of one's age to the extent of intoxication. And because one is educated with many degrees, A to Z or A to Z, then one will be proud, conceited, intoxicated with one's titles. And also the wealth. When one is wealthy, one is proud and one is proud, intoxicated with wealth, and so is beauty. When one is beautiful, one will also be proud and intoxicated with this beauty. So is with the relatives, friends and relatives. One is born of high-ranking clan or families, one can become intoxicated, and so on. These are the causes for intoxication, and such things exist in many ways. And as much as one's condition is good, then one will become intoxicated, one will become very proud. So, that is, if we leave our mind uncontrolled in this natural state. If one is, this kind of thought arises in one's mind, one will be a little bit intoxicated. If there's much, they will be much intoxicated. When one comes to a situation that one cannot control this kind of intoxication, then one will really become giddy and mad to the extent of getting out of control. So that the reason is because one is not being mindful. Here, sati is crucial. In this conversation, Buddha has said two things. Two things are sati and samajana. To repel, to protect one's mind, one must be mindful. Mindful of every seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, everything arising in one's body has to be noted. At the moment of the arising, continuously, then as much as one is mindful, one will be able to control them. And also, this samajana, right full awareness. Mindfulness will lead to right full awareness, samajana. So in this way, with the sati, it can reduce the momentum of the madness or intoxication, and with awareness, full awareness, one can cut off this intoxication or pride. So these are the two things that the Buddha said. Sati, mindfulness, and full awareness, samajana. So if one is not mindful, if one leaves the mind uncontrolled, give it free will, without the practice of restraint, let the thing be as it is, then this mada, intoxication, will lead to pamada, negligence or failure, or forgetting to do beneficial things, to abstain from what should be abstained, and to observe what should be observed, and to conduct or perform these social matters. So this madness, mada, leads to pamada, negligence or failure or lack of diligence. If one is mindful, then there will be no mada, there will be no intoxication, there will be only sati, and with the sati, one will be able to observe what should be observed and abstain from what should be abstained. So this is how one can achieve with the mindfulness. So if there's no mada, there will be no pamada. If there's no madness, there will be no negligence or failure. So the sati, mindfulness, is a remedy to overcome negligence. Mada also can be translated as pride in the main, or synonymous with mana, pride, conceit, high self-esteem about one's age, good age, high education, good wealth, and so on. So when that pride can also get into extreme situations, so that one cannot function in a good social relationships, that one's social relationship will be affected. Taking the upper hand and trying to overwhelm others, taking advantage of others because of one's high position or better situation, because of one's pride, mostly for self-interest. As much as one's condition is good, one will be proud. And this pride can lead to intoxication, and this can also lead to wrongful thought, word and deed. Because one leaves one's mind under strain and control, one commits immoral deeds, debauchery does, so as to make oneself a degenerate, at the same time harm others. Furthermore, because one indulges in sensual pleasures, sometimes this indulgence can be unnatural rather than being natural, so that one contracts diseases, unnatural diseases. So this is all these things in the practice also, because one has been addicted, habituated to such negligence, and when it comes to practice, one cannot practice respectfully, carefully, with faith and enthusiasm, because one has been used to this unskillful deeds, leaving the mind uncontrolled, giving the mind free will. So when it comes to practice, one is not gentle, one is not able to do it gently, and this is a kind of madness. As much as one leaves the mind uncontrolled, one is bound to commit wrong deeds. So, like a mad person, not being able to control oneself, just a mad person can become violent if that mad person cannot control himself or herself. When at last one moves from pamada to umaraka, that means from negligence to madness, then things get worse. One will have distorted perception, distorted consciousness. One's consciousness and perception will become distorted. Because in the beginning, initially, one lacks sati. Instead of being determined to do whatever is wholesome, skillful, one becomes perverted, distorted, leading to ignorance, not knowing the truth, knowing in the wrong way. Because one lacks mindfulness, one becomes ignorant, not knowing the truth, knowing in the wrong way. In this, the Buddha said that this ignorance is a leader or forerunner in not being able to perform skillful deeds. So, the Buddha has said that this ignorance, not knowing the truth, knowing in the wrong way, is a leader or forerunner of unskillful deeds, for unskillful deeds. So whatever unskillful deeds one commits, all this thing has a root cause in avijja, ignorance. Since this avijja is a leader, that means it has also the following, or followers, and not doing what? Ahirika, anuttapa. These two unwholesome mental states, lack of healthy shame, lack of healthy fear, not detesting the unskillful deeds, not fearful of committing unskillful deeds, and also not detesting or not feeling ashamed, not feeling fearful of the evil consequences. This is ahirika, anuttapa. These two unwholesome mental states are the followers of avijja, which is a leader. Once this avijja, ignorance, not knowing the truth, knowing the wrong way, is the leader, then this will lead to wrongful thought, word and deed, because one is not detesting, one does not detest to do wrongful deeds, one is not fearful of doing wrongful deeds. At the same time, one does not detest or does not fear evil consequences. Because one is not fearful of these evil consequences, one dares to commit these unskillful deeds. So these unskillful mental states, ahidika anatapa, lack of moral shame, lack of healthy shame, healthy fear, is the leader is this avijja, not knowing the truth, knowing in the wrong way. Because this avijja as a leader, these things follow automatically. And these two states, unskillful mental states, are also called the destroyer of one's own world. Because of this avijja, not knowing the truth, knowing in the wrong way, whoever is ignorant will not possess this prudence or the reasoning power to reason out whether an undertaking is beneficial or not, or appropriate or not. That also the view of karma and karma results, such as good begets good, bad begets bad. So one will not understand this karma and karma result. Just like a person who has cataract will not see things at all, or even if he or she sees, he or she will see in a different way, in a wrong way. Distorted view, distorted perception. Seeing the long one as short and short one as long. Seeing the white as black or black as white. Seeing in a reverse way. So, such a person at this situation will is said to have possessed a distorted view, Miccha Ditthi. So this Miccha Ditthi, full thoughts, mostly thoughts of sensual pleasures of senses as sentient beings, and not just ordinary or usual pleasures of senses, but unusual pleasures of senses in the world. As you notice, the pleasures of senses which are man-made or purposely created. And for instance, potapa kamaguna, sense of pleasures of touch, like homosexuals, leading to all sorts of the dangerous diseases. This is due to miccha sankappa, wrongful thoughts, wrongful ideas. Because initially one is intoxicated, so that one cannot be tolerant to ordinary things, thus leading to thoughts of ill will, vyavada, vyavada, vidaka, thoughts of ill will, and thoughts of harming others, vihimsa, vidaka. So all these things are due to this distorted view, leading to distorted thoughts or wrongful thoughts. This miccha sankappa leads to miccha vacha. The wrongful ideas, wrongful thoughts, wrongful motivation will lead to wrongful speech. Wrongful speech in terms of false speech, harsh speech, malicious talk, and meaningless speech. Because the idea, the motive is distorted or wrong, the speech becomes incorrect. And because of this miccha vacha, wrongful speech, one is led to miccha kammanta, wrongful actions. Because one speaks wrongly, distorted speech, the action also becomes distorted, wrong. That's why, because of this false speech, one dares to commit immoral deeds, dacharitas. Immoral deeds in terms of killing, sexual misconduct, stealing, and so on. All these things are known as miccha kammanta, wrong actions. Things do not stop here. Since this avijja, ignorance, is a leader, forerunner, because the leader is distorted, not is we call derailing, because the leading engine of a train derails, the whole train, the whole wagons which follow this engine also will derail, distorted. The whole train, the whole thing, the whole followers will be distorted. So because of this micca kamanta, wrong actions, there will be wrong livelihood, micca ajiva ahoti. Because of this wrongful speech, distorted speech, one is led to wrongful actions, and from wrongful actions one is led to wrongful livelihood, such as earning one's livelihood by killing, stealing, telling lies, and so on. This micca ajiva, that things do not stop there at the wrong livelihood. This wrong livelihood will lead to micca vaya mo. That means wrong energy, wrongful exertion of energy. This wrongful exertion of energy also will lead to wrongful mindfulness, sati, not correct sati, not correct mindfulness, not mindfulness in the right place, or the right object. And then this wrong mindfulness will lead to wrong concentration, samadhi, which is samadhi. So because this avijja is a leader, this bad leader, is in the forefront, forerunner, all the followers are evil, are not correct, they are distorted all throughout. So because of these distorted things get out of control and violence occurs. Just like a mad person becomes violent because he or she cannot control his speech, physical, verbal, and mental actions. So because this avijja is the forerunner, the leader, everything which follows leads to evil consequences, so that all these things will become blameworthy. If they are blameworthy, they will be impure, gross, vulgar, and despicable. They will not be blameless. So then one's life also will become despicable. Or are they all the time despicable, something to be disliked, hated? It's not. The Buddha has mercy on them. So, saying that the wrongful path will lead to wrongful destination, and they are bound to suffer. So, the Buddha has mercy on them, has compassion on them, and wanted to free them from this wrongful path. Thus, he showed the right path. Hence, he said that vijja, that means knowing the truth. If the knowing the truth, vijja, knowledge, is the leader instead of ignorance, then this will lead to blameless, pure behaviors. And this is quite inspiring, because the Buddha has shown some light in darkness. Because vijja here at this stage is only basic, not yet profound enough. Basic knowledge that evil thought, word and deed will lead to evil consequences, undesirable consequences. Good thought, word and deed will lead to desirable or good consequences. That much. To know what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, and what are the consequences of these things. Just like when you're taking daily food, if you take unwholesome food, if you don't know that it is wholesome or unwholesome, if you take it, then in most cases you get into trouble. So you take suitable food, knowing that it is suitable. If you know it in advance, you can abstain, so that no harm will come to you. Knowing that this wrongful thought, word and deed are like poison, something to be abstained, you know this much. And just like when you take this good food, it's going to be is going to support health, digestion, and you feel healthy and strong because of this nutritious food. So you take it, knowing that it is good, you get the benefit. So as much as you abstain from taking unwholesome food and not getting harm, so also you take good food, wholesome food, knowing that it is wholesome, you are bound to gain benefit. So too with the practice, knowing that this wrong thought, word and deed leads to evil consequences, wrong consequences, and good thought, word and deed leads to good, desirable consequences. Such kind of view is known as Kammasakata Samadhi, a right view of karma and karma result. When avijja is the forerunner, the leader, then a bunch or train of unskillful things are bound to follow. And the corollary to this is when Vijja, knowledge, is the leader or forerunner, a bunch or train of skillful things are bound to follow. And especially this Hiri Ottappa, two wholesome, skillful mental states, detesting or being shameful healthily and fearful healthily about doing unskillful deeds, detesting to commit unskillful deeds, immoral deeds, and fearful of committing unskillful deeds. And also detesting and fearful of evil consequences out of these evil deeds. Just like when you know that if you take unskillful food, you're bound to land into harm. You'll be harmed by this unskillful, unwholesome food, so you to detest taking. You are afraid of taking this kind of food. And also because you know that has consequences, and in this way, being shameful and fearful about evil consequences, you abstain from unwholesome food. So this Hiri Ottappa is very important, so as not to land into harm, so that not to be harmed. So too, in the practice, one should detest and fear to do unskillful deeds, knowing the evil consequences. So this Vijja is followed by these two wholesome mental states, namely Hiri Ottappa, healthy shame, healthy fear, which is very important, especially in the practice. They are these two things are the protector of your world. The other one, previously has said, Ahirika and Ottappa are the destroyers of the world. This is the protector of your own world. With the purity of physical verbal behaviors, you overcome gross forms of impurities. And then with the purity of mind, you are free from obsessive defilements, and with the cultivating of knowledge, you can overcome these latent tendencies. So, because of this Hiri Ottappa, healthy shame, healthy fear, you are able to overcome these three great gross forms, medium forms, and refined forms of impurities. So, you are able to overcome these gross, medium, refined forms of kilesas. In this way, you are said to be protected. You are protected by these two wholesome mental states, namely Hiri Ottappa, healthy shame and healthy fear, which is very important in the practice, to detest and to fear loss of mindfulness, and to detest and to fear kilesas entering your stream of consciousness, to detest and fear loss of concentration. So as much as you possess these skillful mental states, you will not miss your mindfulness, and as much as you exert energy, your mindfulness is bound to be sustained, and and this will lead to spiritual progress. All these things are due to these two wholesome mental states, hiri and ottappa. These two things, hiri, ottappa, are the world protectors of the world, your own world especially. And the opposite of these two things, ahirika, anuttappa, lack of moral shame, lack of healthy shame, lack of healthy fear, are the destroyer of the world, your own life. That is the difference. They are very important. So this lokapala, protector of the world, namely he, ottappa, healthy shame, healthy fear. They are also called in another name sukha dhamma. That is the states with white background. Now, it is just a name, a metaphor. Actually, one cannot one cannot describe the color of the mind or the mentality as white or black, but this is just as a metaphor, because one detests unskillful deeds, one is fearful of committing unskillful deeds and their consequences also. So if one has that much of mindfulness, diligence, this is good enough, quite commendable. In this way one can protect one's own existence, one's own life. Now this hiri ottappa, healthy shame, healthy fear, is said as the sukha dhamma, the white background, things with states with white background. In a way, the white things can repel heat. When you wear white clothes in the sun, it will repel heat instead of absorb heat. Heat in the form of these impurities, lova, dosa, moha. If you have this white background, sukha dhamma, hiri ottappa, these white things, these impurities will be repelled because you are wearing white things in the form of this hiri ottappa, and will not absorb them. Instead, it will only repel them. Also, they are called another name, deva dhamma. Deva dhamma, shining states or good states, sublime states, you might call it. This deva dhamma is of three kinds. One is upapatti deva. Upapatti deva means those devas that we are talking about, the devas and brahmas who are on the higher planes. They are experiencing the benefits of the skillful deeds they have done while they are in the human world. They are just experiencing these wholesome deeds. And another dhamma is samudhi dhamma. Samudhi dhamma. Samudhi deva is the administrators, kings and presidents and so on. These people are samudhi devas. And the third one is visuddhi deva. Now visuddhi deva means the pure state, the holy path, the holy state, state of sanctity. With the hiri ottappa being possessing these two wholesome mental states, hiri ottappa, to do wholesome deeds, and fearful and shameful of unwholesome consequences, they exert energy leading to mindfulness and concentration, cultivating knowledge. On a part-time basis, they can purify their mind until they realize the state of sanctity. This is visuddhi deva. So this is the path of devas, the three paths of devas. And visuddhi deva is the one that yogis are striving. This yogis are following this visuddhi deva, the path of shining path, state of sanctity, cherishing the basic conduct, disliking and fearing the breaking of precepts, weakening of precepts. One makes all effort to sustain sila, so as to purify one's physical, verbal behaviors. This is the path of Visuddhideva. So that these one's physical, verbal behaviors shine bright. And disliking and fearing the loss of mindfulness and allowing kilesas to enter one's stream of consciousness, and disliking and fearing impurities coming in, one sustained mindfulness in a very special way, with exertion, leading to the concentration of the mind, thus being free from obsessive defilements. Obsessive defilements cannot enter one's stream of consciousness. In this way, one's mind becomes pure and it shines bright. This is another Visuddhideva path. One's mind becomes pure and brilliant, and then one at last you're able to gain insight knowledge, free from these latent tendencies. Then your mind will shine extraordinarily bright with joy and delight. So, not to speak of when you realize the state of mind at the higher insight knowledge. Because of this hiri ottappa, you are able to sustain sila, thus purify physical, verbal behaviors, and because of this hiri ottappa, you concentrate the mind, you sustain mindfulness, you concentrate your mind, thus purify your mind, and practice the restraint of the mind, so that your mind is pure. And with the cultivation of knowledge, with hiri ottappa, you are able to overcome these latent tendencies. In this way, your knowledge also knowledge shines bright, and this is the path of Visuddhideva, for which this hiri ottappa is very crucial. So following this path of hiri ottappa, Visuddhideva, cultivating this insight knowledge, advancing through the progressive levels of insight knowledge until you reach the purity of your mind. You become pure and noble. Ariya, realizing the first path consciousness. Then you will never degenerate yourself. You will never lower your status will never be lowered, and you always shine, and more and more only your Dhamma will shine brighter and brighter until you reach the highest stage of sanctity. Then you will shine brightest. So this hiri ottappa or Visuddhideva is the way to overcome this wrongful thought, word and deed, to abstain from wrong thought, word and deed, and not to miss the mindfulness. In this way, with this practice of Visuddhideva, hiri ottappa, may you be able to shine brighter and brighter day by day.